Hoffman, Oscar-winning actor. NBC News reporting Hoffman wrote of demons in diaries before overdose. Do you get that? Do you get the symbolism of that? Do you get what this article is talking about here? Let me read the article. The private diaries of the late actor Philip Seymour Hoffman, who died of a heroin overdose. And I want you to keep all of this in mind, because next week's Watchman, I already recorded it, next week's Watchman broadcast deals with the drug epidemic. It's called chemical sorcery. And I've already done part one of it. It's probably going to be 2 parts. But I'm telling you that with marijuana, heroin, LSD, methamphetamine, even alcohol, when you mess with that stuff, you are opening a door that should stay closed. That God built in our brains a door called sobriety. When we are sober, somebody can come up to us and offer us something, and we can make a logical decision and say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not touching that. What was it God told the priest back in Leviticus? In the Levitical law, he said, ye and your sons are not to drink wine nor strong drink. You know why? Because then you won't be able to tell the difference between the holy and the profane, between clean and unclean. Why? Because sobriety shut down, drunkenness started up, and God built a firewall around the logical centers of our brain called sobriety. When we become drunk, whether it's with alcohol or chemicals, that firewall breaks down, and things that want in come in. You ponder that. You think about that. And I give the evidence in the Watchman broadcast. But here is Hoffman. Died of a heroin overdose. Heroin is one of these bad, messed up drugs. And what Hoffman did was, when he took this heroin, he tore down the wall that separated his logical part of his mind from the rest, from everything that wanted in, from the enemies that wanted in, the spirits. He basically just opened the door, and here they come in. And anybody who has ever been high will tell you that when you get high on these drugs, it's like you are perceiving things. Your perception of the world around you is automatically different, and you're seeing things that you've never saw before, and everything becomes clear, and everything's all beautiful, and it's like a door has been opened. That's because it has. But anyway, he died on February 2nd. What day is that? Well, it's February 2nd. Sunday. What's wrong with you? January hath 31 days. So February 2nd would be the 33rd day of the year. So I always look for something on that day. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm looking at this day and this event. So the private diaries of Philip Seymour Hoffman, died of a heroin overdose on February 2nd, reveal a man who was troubled by demons and struggled to control them with Narcotics Anonymous meetings, NBC News has learned exclusively. But Hoffman also wrote about drug deals and seems to have written some of the entries while in rehab for his admitted heroin addiction. The Oscar-winning actor, 46. Did you catch that? He's 33 years old. Oh, no, it's the 30th. I got it backwards. It's the 33rd day of the year, and his number is 46, and he's killed by these demons, by these devils, by these spirits. JFK was 46 years old on 11/22, November the 22nd. Add those 2 numbers together. 33. Dallas, Texas, 33rd parallel. And the similarities go on and on and on. And there are undoubtedly other events. I haven't put together all the research, but I know I've talked about many, many things where these numbers play into this. And when I see this, I'm going, I can't ignore it. Here you have on the 33rd day of the year an overdose, spirits. Spirits killed this man. Now, I know the police can't go out and arrest him, and that's why Paul told us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. I don't, and undoubtedly, on the internet somewhere is a YouTube video or a blog where a guy is saying that the Illuminati slipped into his apartment and gave him an overdose of heroin and slipped out undetected, and it was the Illuminati that did it. Yeah, that's the ones. Where's your evidence? Where's your proof? So you make something up, right? I don't have any, there's no evidence that I'm aware of that somebody did this for him. What I believe happened was a spiritual sacrifice, a spiritual. You might say he was slain in the spirit. 33rd day of the year, and he's 46 years old. His temple had been destroyed. Did you get that? So, what is it a sign of? I can only assume from everything that we know from the Scripture that its reference, its target, has to do with the beast that rises up out of the sea, who was and is not, and yet shall be. And remember, we contrasted that in the Watchman broadcast that we did on this time travel thing. Here's Christ who was and is to come. And we have the Antichrist who is his opposite, who was and is not, and yet shall be. And so I believe that would be the ultimate target of this particular murder, of this particular sacrifice. But let's read this article a little bit more. The Oscar-winning actor, 46, was found dead at 11:30 a.m. on Super Bowl Sunday in Manhattan apartment with a syringe still in his arm. Police searched the apartment and found two small diaries, one measuring about 6 by 8 inches and another approximately 7 by 9 inches. According to multiple sources familiar with the contents, the hand-scrawled entries make reference to drug deals, the actor's struggle with his demons, and his attempt to stay clean by attending Narcs Anonymous meetings in Lower Manhattan. But the diaries are also hard to read, with scribbled lines and sentences that run into each other. The handwriting sometimes starts out clearly and then becomes illegible, said a source, as if he had written parts of the diaries while high. Did you know that that's how a lot of rock and roll songs are written? They're written while these guys, that's why they called it acid rock. These guys were dropping acid. They were getting high. And they were writing lyrics to these songs that while they're high, they make all the sense in the world. And when you come down, you look at it and go, I don't know what that means, but I think it makes a great song, man. So that's what they did. So here's what he said. It's stream of consciousness and difficult to follow, said one source. In one line he refers to Frank, who always owes money. And on the same page he writes about a 15-year-old girl from Texas. It seems he did at least part of it in rehab. It definitely contains some soul-searching, but there is also a fair amount of rambling that doesn't make sense, like rock and roll songs. But anyway, he's writing in his diary about his demons that are torturing him, that are killing him. Law enforcement officials told NBC News that authorities who searched Hoffman's apartment found 49 full bags of heroin, 23 empty bags of heroin, 4 bags of white powder believed to be cocaine, as well as various prescription drugs. And it was all about his demons. And people, again, I don't know what it signifies other than the overall collective consciousness of people in the world who are having this idea infused into their mind. 33 and 46 and 33 and 46 and other numbers like 72 and 77. All of these numbers keep popping up in events that are taking place around the world. I believe that it is part of the overall collective consciousness that is preparing. Remember, the false prophet does not force people to take the mark. He causes them. And I think the causes are happening right now. Here is, this has a double interest to me. Here's an article from The Guardian. A priceless bronze statue of Greek god Apollo found in Gaza Strip. But I'm looking at the ad next to it. See the hexagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with a little pyramid in the middle of it. Very interesting. Now, here's something interesting about this. Notice, and somebody pointed this out to me. Notice he's got his eye put out. Okay? But here's this thing just washed ashore. Lost for centuries, a rare bronze statue of the Greek god Apollo was mysteriously resurfaced in the Gaza Strip, only to be seized by police and vanish almost immediately from view. Word of the remarkable find has caught the imagination of the world of archaeology, but the police cannot say when the life-size bronze might reemerge or where it might be put on display. A local fisherman says he scooped the 500-kilogram, 1,100-pound god from the seabed. I mean, think about it. The god Apollyon rising up from the sea. Dun, dun, dun! Local fisherman said he scooped it up and carried it home on a donkey cart. Unaware of the significance of his catch, others soon guessed of its importance, and the statue briefly appeared on eBay with a $500,000 price tag, well below its true value. Police from the Islamist group Hamas, which rules the isolated Palestinian territory, swiftly seized it and say they are investigating the affair. I didn't know an affair took place. But now it's gone. And you have to ask the question, why is it gone? Symbolism means a lot. What else can we talk about today? Perry Noble. I'm doing a lot of graphics today, aren't I? Just makes the show look good. Perry Noble. A pastor who is a deep Bible hater. He hates conservative Christianity. He hates conservative Christians, badmouths them any way that he can, uses profanity during his sermons, will not allow 6th grade and below into his auditorium during the worship service and his preaching because he characterizes his preaching as PG-13. So he shuffles them off to another place where they play little kid rock and roll and play games and have fun and have their paradigm shifted. Well, he's in there talking dirty to everybody. That's Perry Noble. Perry Noble tweeted this the other day, Christians, quote unquote. See, he doesn't really believe that people who believe the Bible and try to live by it, he doesn't believe that they're really Christians because they're not doing what he's doing. It's all about the works, and a lot of you are picking up on that now, aren't you? You're seeing that a lot of these VBS programs and a lot of these youth programs and a lot of these adult ministries are all about